Today's show is sponsored by the multiorgasmicmama.com. If lack of confidence, low libido, or guilt and shame around your sexuality are the cause of your bedroom woes, the hot wild sex you never have anymore, or the transition into motherhood that sucked your libido dry, let me help you get your mojo and magnetic feminine spark back. Magic, miracles, total self-love, and multi-orgasmic bliss included. See you at themultiorgasmicmama.com.
Welcome back, Hot Mamas. Today we are talking about self-pleasure and why you should do it even if you are in a relationship. Most men and women that I talk with don't even understand why you should learn to have better sex and orgasms on your own instead of with a partner, because it seems a little counterintuitive now, doesn't it? And I find that it's even more far out and hard to grasp and understand this concept that you really do need to learn how to have better sex and orgasms solo when you have been in a relationship for a really long time, and even more so if you got into a relationship when you were really young and you're still in it or you're just now getting out of it. Like if you've been with the same person since you were a teenager or since you were in your very early 20s. One common thing that I find with couples who have been together for a really long time or since they were young is that they struggle separating their sexuality from their partners. And that is because they've been together for so long that they wired their sexuality together. They basically got raised together sexually. They learned about sex together, and they never gave themselves that opportunity or time to even figure out what or who they were as a sexual being apart from their partner. And this is very dangerous territory. The reason is because it means that likely, this is not all the time, and it's definitely not in every case, but it's likely that you are sexually codependent on each other. And you have unconsciously made your partner responsible for all of your sexual needs and desires without ever even giving yourself that opportunity to figure out what you want, what you need, and what you like on your own. So basically, if this is you and you've been in that long-term relationship or you've been with the same person since you were really young, you never took the opportunity to explore yourself sexually solo. Maybe you did a little bit, but it's been so long that you've kind of lost touch with who you are apart from your partner. And what generally happens is that a decade or two later, or maybe after you have kids, you wake up and you realize that you have no idea who you are as a sexual person. You feel lost. You feel like, I have no idea what I even want or like out of my sex life. I'm not sure what my sexuality even means to me anymore. I'm not sure that I ever even knew what it meant to me, because your only experience of sexuality has been with a partner, or maybe if you didn't get together so young, that's all that you remember. And with that said, I want to give you 5 reasons why you should self-pleasure even if you are in a relationship. The first one is because you learn what you want and what you like on your own. It is very hard to tell your partner what you want and like if you don't even know yourself. And this can be very challenging, especially for male partners, I would say, even more so challenging than female partners, because male partners really do aim to please. I find that most men really want their female partners in particular to feel that they're taken care of. And a lot of times women who have not explored themselves sexually and don't know what they want or like will struggle immensely with that question. How can I please you? What feels good? A lot of times they couldn't even tell you. And if you're one of those ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, the second reason that you need a self-pleasure practice, even if you're in a relationship, is because you learn who you are as a sexual person apart from your partner. And this helps you to gain sexual sovereignty. And why this is important is because your sexuality isn't for anyone else but you. You may choose to share your sexuality with someone else, but ultimately you get to benefit from it for you. It's not for someone else. Your pleasure is for you. Your orgasms are for you. And if you want to share that, then awesome. But also, sexual sovereignty is important because God forbid your partner die or go away or something dramatic happens. Well, it's very important that you maintain a solid relationship and connection with your own sexuality on your terms apart from your partner. Now, the third reason that you should have a self-pleasure practice even within a relationship is it is just not fair to make anyone solely responsible for your pleasure or for any other area of your life, because that's super old, outdated, like generational programming, right? That we need a person to take care of us, maybe financially or even sexually. Now, what I'm not saying here is that it's bad to want someone to do those things for you. Oh, no. That is not what I'm saying. But there is a difference between saying I need someone to do that and I want someone to do that. So you can want someone to take care of you financially or sexually, but it's not the same energy as feeling totally disempowered because you need them to. And, feeling that you need them to happens to be pretty codependent. So you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet in your life and in your relationship in order to create amazing non-codependent relationships. So if you've made your partner solely responsible for your pleasure or orgasms, or even for your financial status as well, then I'd highly encourage you to take a look at that and assess how that's really going for you and what it might be keeping you from experiencing and learning about yourself. I truly believe that financial and sexual empowerment for women is a huge step and breakthrough to us being able to reach our full potential as humans ourselves. And if you're not able to do that for yourself, then I'd really be diving into what's keeping me from doing that. All right, the fourth reason that having a self-pleasure practice is important even in a relationship is since hardly any women are having more than the tip of the iceberg clitoral orgasms, and since we received shit sexual education, about how many different types of orgasms we could have. I mean, many of you have listened to my podcast for a long time. There's at least 8. I had a podcast episode 15 on the 7 different types of orgasms, but that was before I even knew throat orgasms existed. And then I had one. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely a thing too. So there's all sorts of different orgasmic experiences you can have. So why are you only experiencing this little bitty tip of the iceberg when it comes to what is possible for you and your pleasure and orgasm? But that's because you don't have any sexuality training growing up. And because of that, you're really not living to your fullest sexual potential. So the one way that you can make yourself available to your fullest sexual potential and to carve out a path for more exquisite types of orgasms, for all the lovely orgasms and the different ways and the positions, is to train your body sexually. And this happens the quickest for women by learning the jade egg practice. And that doesn't involve your partner at all. And for men, it happens by learning and practicing sexual kung fu. And these 2 practices come from the Taoist tradition. And the Taoists were basically sexuality masters. They were fully interested in a person's sexual health and wellness, as they realized it's really the basis for any spiritual awakening. So the Taoist is a spiritual tradition, but they did not ignore or deny someone's sexuality on the way to awakening. So there's no spiritual bypassing your sexuality on the way to being enlightened in this tradition. And they also came up with amazing practices like the jade egg and sexual kung fu to teach people, humans, men and women, how to train themselves sexually to reach their full orgasmic potential and to expand their capacity for more pleasure. So if you find yourself lacking sexual desire, or that you feel really low on energy all of the time, according to these traditions, and what I've found to be true for myself and in all of my clients, is that Your sexual energy is depleted when you don't have the energy to do life or the energy to even meditate. Because it does take a lot of energy to meditate, to have a spiritual practice. It's not easy just to sit there and be in the moment and be present. You know how much focus that takes and how challenging it is for people to just be with their body and sit with their thoughts and just observe them without judgment. That's really difficult for a lot of people. And that's not something that you learn how to do with your partner. No, you learn how to do it yourself. And that is what makes sex epic and amazing, is when you learn how to be with yourself. You learn how to utilize your sexual energy, ignite it, wake it up, and you learn how to use it in a very conscious way that fuels more energy inside of you. Okay, the fifth way, or the fifth reason that you want to have a self-pleasure practice, even when you're in a relationship, is because you do not need tips and techniques and tricks. You don't need Cosmo to have better sex with your partner. You don't need to go look up, especially if you're a dude. Dudes are always looking for ways to, how can I make it better for her? How can I give her a G-spot orgasm? How can I give her a full body orgasm? All of this stuff. Men are always looking for techniques. You don't need another freaking technique. Women don't care about your techniques most of the time. They care about how present a man is, right, ladies? When sex is really great, it's really great because you can feel your partner's presence. You can feel them with you. They're right there. You know when they're present. You know when they're not present. You know when they're going into fantasy. That's what makes sex amazing, is when they're right there with you. And these tips and techniques and tricks that everyone wants to give, and everyone, says, just do this thing in this way and that's what's going to work. That doesn't make sex better. And many of my clients come to me because they have tried all of those tips and techniques and it doesn't work. That's because amazing sex and orgasms happen when you learn to drop into your body and feel it. What's real for you right here and right now, and not judge it. This is basically the key to getting out of your head in sex. And that is not something that you learn to do with your partner before you learn to do it with yourself. Basically, you need to learn how to self-pleasure and have a sexual self-care practice inside of your relationship, just to learn how to get comfortable in your own skin, and you learn how to get out of your head. And it's already hard enough to have sex with someone and not worry about what they're thinking. It's hard to not feel responsible for their pleasure. It's hard to not wonder, do they like it or not? I don't even know. So when you take all of that out of the equation, self-pleasure is a much more ideal space and environment to learn to deal with your judgy thoughts, to learn how to get comfortable feeling the sensations in your body, creating safety in your body to even feel what's happening inside, so you can resensitize to pleasurable sensations in the first place. And so you can learn to be okay with what you're feeling right here and now. And when you do that, you become a master of it. And it becomes so much easier to take your comfort level, your confidence in your own body, your ability to sit with your own thoughts. It's much easier to take that into your partnered sexual experiences when you have practiced it yourself. And then the sex, with your partner becomes that much better, more epic, all of the things. And you have more amazing, stronger, longer lasting orgasms because you're not thinking about whether or not they like it or how you look when you're actually having sex. Okay, so hot mamas, let's review the reasons that you need a self-pleasure or sexual self-care practice even when you're in a relationship. The first is because you learn what you want and you like on your own, and it makes it easier to show your partner how to please you when you know yourself. The second is you learn who you are as a sexual person apart from your partner, and thereby you gain sexual sovereignty. The third is that you break free of sexual codependency. The fourth is that you open yourself up to your fullest sexual potential when you start a sexual self-care practice like the Jade Egg. And the fifth is you learn how to get out of your head, and you learn how great sex is nothing more than a moving, orgasmic meditation. That's right. I said it. Great sex happens when it's like meditating. But you gotta learn how to do that shit on your own first, babe. All right, so go forth and self-pleasure, hot mamas, and see how that changes the sex that you have with your partner. And go get yourself a Jade Egg at the brand new website, tillystorm.com/shop. And I will talk with y'all next week.